Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today is part 2 of our surf tip on how to surf small waves faster. This is gonna be fun. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show. Now this episode, I'm gonna be talking about how I surf small waves faster. Our focus is gonna be frontside, generating as much speed down the line as possible. I'm gonna let you guys into my process, basically what I'm thinking when I catch that wave. Then we're gonna look at a few waves, slow it down a little bit, and talk about technique. Now the first thing I wanna talk about is, since every wave's different, the way I approach a wave is when I see the wave coming in, I'm already addressing the wave in my mind by the way the wave is setting up. And if a wave is really fast and lined up and I need to get down the line, I approach it a particular way when I'm paddling. So let's take one scenario where the wave's pretty small. I know that when I catch it, I'm gonna be paddling hard in an angle, because this is frontside for me, and there's a little lip that might even come down and make it hard for me to get around that section and get the first pump. So I'm gonna paddle hard in an angle, and I'm trying to pick up my speed quickly already. By the time I get to my feet, I'm already thinking shift everything forward, even my feet forward. So my back foot is actually more on the front of my traction pad or even in front of that. And I'm trying to get that first quick pump. And a lot of times that first quick pump, when I get to my feet, everything's forward. I'm trying to make that first pump at the top of the wave. We've got to understand where the speed zones are on a wave. And every time I'm gonna ride a small wave in the top third of the wave. So that way when I go up, I'm pushing off when I go up. I'm pushing off my board, and that's a form of pumping. And so when I push up, the board's going up to the top, and now I'm gonna compress down into my board as hard as I can. That's gonna give me the burst of speed to get down the line. And then when I go to the bottom, everything about me is shifted forward with my weight, and my feet are forward on the board. So if I'm trying to get down the line, in my mind, all I can do and all I want to do is shift forward, and everything's forward. All my pumping, it might look like this, but when it gets to here, it's here. And then it's push, and then it's forward. So remember, I only need my back foot to go back on the pad in the sweet spot by the kick when I'm ready to do a maneuver. And since this is about surfing as fast as we can in small waves down the line, we're gonna have to work for all the speed. Another thing I like to think about is, in smaller waves, we talk about working for our own speed. I talked about riding an EPS epoxy board that has that extra pop and projection. I also wanna say, in my mind, I like to exaggerate getting low on my compressing and being quick to extend out and then to get low again. So for me, compressing and extending could look like this on a regular wave, but on a small wave, it looks and feels more like this. Up, down, up hard, down hard. Where my arms being in front of me are gonna help me project forward. So when I talk about exaggerating, what I think at times when I'm out surfing and Aaron's videoing, I have the luxury of studying the footage on every single wave. And sometimes I feel like I got super low, and when I watched it back on video, it was only about halfway as low on my compression as I thought it was. So when I talk about exaggerating, I'm actually talking about getting my left knee and my left shoulder to nearly touch on the compression, where I really can't get any lower. And when I'm trying to get down the line, I'm looking to generate a lot of speed to match what the wave has to offer, or I have a maneuver in mind, and I want to hit that maneuver with a ton of speed. So if I'm going down the line the whole time and I'm compressing, extending, I want to choose maneuvers that are going to help me go fast down the line. So I'm going to be doing speed snaps. I'm going to be doing Floaters and everything's always projecting forward. Speed snap, it's forward. Floaters, I'm even shifting my weight forward and my hands are forward, and then my front knee and my shoulder are nearly touching. This is what I'm thinking about in my mind. Now, when I talk about getting down the line as fast as I can and I'm reading the wave, most of the time I'm doing that compressing and extending on the toe side rail. Some of you guys don't surf a lot of point break waves. Sometimes you're surfing a beach break wave where you take off and it might have a bit of steepness in the beginning, but then it has a flat spot to it where you have to kind of weave through that, and then all of a sudden it starts to get a little bit more steep, and then you can do one last turn. So I grew up surfing beach breaks. I understand what this looks like and feels like. So it's always reading the wave. I look at the wave, okay, I'm gonna go to the bottom, or I'm gonna get one quick pump, do a turn, and now I'm weaving. And so for me, when I'm compressing and extending to get through a flat spot, it's really about having good rhythm. So when I push off the toe side, and now I have to use my heel side rail, and then I'm using my toe side and then my heel side, I'm still compressing and extending while I'm hitting each rail. And I want to do that kind of compressing and extending without being too aggressive, or I would say twitchy, you know, where it just doesn't look smooth. I always want my surfing to look smooth, and I really feel like there's a rhythm I'm trying to get into in my compressing and extending, even as I try and get through that flat spot to get another maneuver and finish the wave. Now, a couple things that I want to share with you for me is huge. When I'm paddling for a wave that's really lined up and it's super fast, and I tell you sometimes I set that up by how I paddle for a wave. And I'm talking about having my feet forward and maximizing that speed. When I set up for that wave and I see it and I start to paddle, I'll actually scoot further up on my board when I'm paddling. I'll actually smother the nose of the board. And sometimes I feel like when I do that, it might even be like the nose is kind of plowing. And I don't have time to make the adjustment. I'll adjust the weight of the board by using the weight of my knees a little bit more on the tail of the board, just so I can keep the board from going from here to like this to maximize my momentum going forward. And when I get to my feet, because I've smothered more of the front end of the board, that's going to get my front foot more or less like, if here's normal, I'll be like right here. It doesn't seem like much. But if I shove everything forward, now my back foot's going to be in front of my traction pad. And just by having my feet more centered and everything going forward, I'm going to have that little extra speed that I'm looking for to match the wave. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the volume I like. If you follow the show, you know I'm 165 pounds. I have a volume range from 25 to 27 liters. And I like my high performance shortboards roughly 26 liters. So most people have told me, and I'm sure you've heard it too, is they say on your small wave performance boards and your grovelers, go up a liter or two, because we're working to catch the wave and we're working for all of our own speed. And there's a fine line here for me. I get it. If we're not catching waves, we're not having fun. However, if we're talking about maximizing speed down the line, a small wave performance board and a groveler are going to have less entry rocker compared to a high performance shortboard, so they're going to carry more glide and more down the line speed by design. And the way I see it is I talk about the pop and projection from an EPS epoxy board, and then I also talk about the board being super light so I can put it where I want when I want to. If I add a liter to a small wave performance board or a groveler, or even 2 liters for that matter, because I'm surfing small waves, now we have to take into factor the extra volume that we're putting on the board, which will add weight, and more volume is going to give me a slight delay in reaction time. Remember, on the small wave, when I'm paddling to get where I want to go on that wave, and I pop to my feet, and I said my first action is to take that first pump and get to the lip as fast as I can so I can compress as hard as I can to get to the bottom. If the board is too buoyant, or if it feels too tight, or there's a slight delay, that will hurt me in my process to get from my feet to that first pump to get down the line. All this stuff's super important, and you guys need to consider it. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'm working on part 3. Look, if you want to surf better and have more fun, check out our How to Surf Better series, become a patron. I put the link in the YouTube description below. You'll love it. Look, if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and give us a thumbs up if you like our content. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.